they instinctively like the tension there?
No.
I mean, some of you think they're going to pass out, they're going to choke themselves to death.
It's what we have inadvertently taught them to do. If you realize that dogs don't have any kind of restraint like that in nature that isn't a threat, when they are being threatened, they are being held and grabbed, right? So another dog has them, and he's not, and he's going to die today. He's going to be somebody's lunch. Hello.
Mike's gonna work on him.
All right.
You all thought I needed help.
And this is who?
This is Champ.
This is Champ. What's the matter?
I don't want to be on my feet.
You don't want to be on your feet? Get him the wheelchair. This should be fun.
Sterling.
I learned more by observing.
You're gonna start? Okay. All right, I was gonna. I'll do it. I'll do it. You know, I can start him.
There we go.
Okay. So help him orient just a little bit there. Yeah, you get it in front of his nose first, and then toss it away from there. There you go. There we go. Now, see if you can get him to turn with you. Don't get too close to the people. There we go. That's a good boy. Let's see, he can hear, so we can talk to him. Yeah, there you go. Now ask him to do something else. There you go. Always get something else after you get a behavior you don't like, so he doesn't think he's getting rewarded for that behavior. We don't want that to link to anything else. We want it to extinguish, and we want him to choose the other behavior. Hello, darling. Champ's a good boy. Champ's a good boy. Yes, he is. Champ, good boy. Good. Try not to say his name. If you really are struggling to get his attention, give him a little kiss or a click. Okay. Give him a little press release. Press release. Press release. Good. 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 So even though you didn't turn and look at her, the attention was released. Tell him. Tell him, tell him, tell him.
Chrissy.
Yes.
I had him on the playground earlier. When I took off his leash
Good.
to like adjust his collar, went out to way too loose.
Uh-huh.
Trying to get him reeled back in, to get him back on the leash.
Yeah.
He'll come up to you and he goes to, get run away from him really fast.
Did you have food?
Huh? I don't think so.
Very important, because some of these dogs, number one, they don't know when their freedom is getting taken away that it's going to be given back. You know, he's got freedom, he doesn't want it to be taken away. Thank you so much. So nice. It's really important to tell them why they're doing something. You're taking his freedom away. You better have a good reason for him to allow you to do that. Until he understands the process. And this is about them understanding the routines that we put into place. The good routines, the good boy. And most of these dogs are bad handlers because they've been forced to do things. And this is, if you take my basics class, handling is a big thing that we go over, because every dog is usually bad with being leaned over, reached for, etc. And these guys, God only knows what was done to them before they got here. So it's really important to tell them, when I reach for you, good things happen to you. Can you bring more hair? Right, big boy? Hi! So if I'm going to reach for him, I'm going to reach for him with food in my hand. And I'm going to reach for him with food in my hand. I'm going to tug on that collar while I have food in my hand. What does that do? That puts food and bad handling together in a more tolerable way. So he's going to be more likely to let me do that. And if I'm going to put the leash on and take it off, I'm going to put it on and take it off 100 times, and I'm going to have food the whole time, so he gets food through the entire process. Then he marries those two things together. So he says, okay, somebody leaning over and reaching for my collar is not a threat, and it's something that I should be okay with, because good things always happen to me when we do that. Does that make sense? It's really hard to think of it from their point of view, no. But we have have to think of it from their point of view. Give him just a little press release. Your leash is a little bit too long. There you go. As you saw, he got a hand on you before you had a chance to react. Doesn't have to be short, but yeah, about mid-range is perfect. Give him a little tug right there. Good. There you go. See how he's starting to come back to you? Can you feel the difference now, as opposed to what you first had? That's it. So all we're doing is just keep picking out all these things he's doing right. There are so many things this dog is doing right. When occasionally he gets off track, it's an aberration. It's momentary. And then we're looking for him to get right back on track, aren't we, big boy? Did you just hit that? Did you just hit that? Don't you jump on me? Don't you jump on me? I saw you coming. You're so kidding.
So what happens if, should I
You
still
just-
try and
you
pulse
just
if he's
back up.
jumping?
Just back directly up and pulse as you do it.
Okay.
That gives you, that throws him a little off balance, and it gives you distance. Distance is gonna calm him down. When he realizes every time he does that, he gets farther away from the person, then he's gonna do that. He's gonna say, oh, wait a minute, I wanted to be over near that person. I screwed up. Let me try that again. Right, big boy? So he come back over now and not jump on me? Yeah, this is such a good boy. Right? So he always gets another chance, you know? I'm not big on one and dones unless I really have to. One and dones is I do it once and I get what I want. Because if I did it at the expense of his attitude, then the next time I want to do that, guess what? It's on, right? So I want him to be happy about everything that I'm doing with him. And if he is, then he's going to be more willing, more responsive, and more tolerant of somebody who isn't doing it right. And that's the key to getting them into a home. If I can get him to say, okay, give treats. Yeah. How did I know? How did I know? Oh, there you go. This is why it's so important to have food. Because absent food, then he's like, well, what else can I do? I'm going to go back to my usual. What's his usual? Completely unacceptable. That is his usual.
So then would you suggest always walking with food then, or?
I always have food with me. I always have food with me, and he's actually about done. And the reason for that is, I mean, even with my dog now, I've had her 14 years, I still have food with me. Why? Because every once in a while I need something. So does that food get really old and desiccated and icky? Yes, it does. But then I just swap it out for some new stuff. Because there's always something where you just want to take a little bit out. There's always something that can be rewarded or something surprises you. And if they do a good job, you want to give them something that's more than just your love. Get that top level thing. Food is for new things and for challenging things. That's me. So I always want to have some available if any of those things occur.
But also, do or do not use verbal reward.
You absolutely can. You absolutely can and should. But those are, there's primary and there's secondary and there's tertiary rewards in the training world. Primary is usually food. Once you have it established, you start dropping out of food and you go into other reward systems. But you've already had your other reward systems in place. You still have?
Yeah.
You also already have your other reward systems in place because you are talking to them, because you are petting them, because you are allowing them to continue going on the walks or whatever else they're doing, right? So you have all those extra rewards in there, so when the food starts to go away, you have all those other things that are part of their behavior pattern already. So yeah, I tell people to be quiet because we can't multitask. If you're concentrating on watching his body language and reacting to his body language, you can't talk. It took me 15 years to be able to train and talk at the same time. Can't do it, you know? And essentially what I'm doing, how can we tell?
I know.
Essentially what I'm doing is switching between two things really fast.
What if the dog is so fixated on food that he doesn't want to do anything else at all? He doesn't want to walk, or he just wants to get that treat out of your pocket?
Then you wait on them, Frank, and I've had a lot of dogs that are food obsessed. I'm like, you can have it, but not for that. And you just kind of wait on him. If you start marking him and rewarding him for all the other things that he's doing, all the jumpy stuff and all that, he didn't get anything for that, that's going to go away. Not immediately, but if you mark him for everything else, there's some on the ground, what's wrong with you? Call yourself a dog. Look at this mess.
Is the food also important just because these dogs are being handled by so many different people?
Well, in the sense that continuity is important, yeah. continuity is important.
Okay.
And so, it's hard to get consistency with so many different handlers.
Yeah.
So you wanna have as many consistent pieces as possible. So pulse is a great one, your communication system is a great one, being able to read the dog and stay calm around the dog. But food, can kind of travel across that way too, as can, toys and things like that as well.
And why don't you say their name before you say?
You don't wanna, you can say their name, hi Jake, how you doing? But I don't wanna say their name to get their attention. I won't, number one, that might not be his name when he gets adopted. But I don't want to use that because what can happen is he can start to listen for that. And I don't want him to listen for that, I want him to make decisions. So I'm trying to do things. Do you think you could maybe sit down there? Do those back legs bend at all? I want him to make his own choices, so if I'm calling his name, he's gonna wait for his name to be called. If, on the other hand, I can give him a little pulse on the leash, or I can give him a little kiss, a little cluck or something like that, that isn't really related to me, that gets his attention and he turns, boom, then I can reward that behavior. So, and you've heard this over and over again, people go, Sparky, 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 and you're like, shut up! To be diplomatic. Okay, edit that out. After 15 years, some things just go south on you. But it becomes meaningless, and a lot of people will use it as a no, as a come. I mean, it should only have one meaning, and that means when you hear it, wonderful things happen to you. Shing! Boom. That's all that should mean, right? So if I'm calling him, I better have another word following that name, because that just means, could you pay attention to me for a minute? I'm going to tell you something. So if I'm just saying Sparky with nothing after it, I'm giving him absolutely no information, and he's to his own devices. It's being wonderful.
Christy, can you
Gets
show
the
another
pink eyes.
example of when you should treat them when they do something inappropriate?
You can be treated now because you hacked that up. It's like everything on the floor. Who is it? Like that?
Right.
Okay, so now he's down. He's not getting any food for that. Now I need him to do something else, which can be a sit, it can be a walk, it can be just something else. He didn't jump up on me when I took it away. Okay, so now I'm going to give it to him.
Right.
As many things as you can put in between the bad thing and the reward. You can put in one thing, you can put in 12 things. That's it. There's a little bit of a pull more than a pulse. You want to just give him that signal, and you can give him multiple pulses. Press, press. There you go. To the side, a little to the side there. There you go. Then it helps you in your turning too when you're at the side. There you go. And he's less likely to do that. There you go. Good boy. That's it. Good boy. Would you clean the floor up?
Okay.
Who do you think you are?
Spot's gonna have the time.
What
All right.
about in the play yard with these dogs that are jumping when you don't have the leash on them, or should we just leave the leash attached?
I would have a blocker out there of some kind, a blocking board, something like that. So if they do start jumping, you could slide something in between you and the dog.
We do have those
and
ordered.
You have those
Yeah,
ordered.
okay, they're called hog boards, but yeah, it's
Yeah.
something you're gonna be able to use
Yeah.
for
and
fence fighting.
essentially, this is another signal. Just like the leash is a signal, these boards are a signal. And the way I teach it is, I move towards the dog and I'm looking for him to move back a little bit. When he does, I say good, and I toss him a treat. So then they learn when that board is presented that they're supposed to back up. So it's not it's not a shield, like I'm defending myself and, bullets and bracelets and that kind of stuff. It's not that, because then they'll never learn anything. They'll just come at it even more, or they'll run behind you, right? So what I want to do is say, when this is presented, you back up, and then I can reward them immediately for backing up.
So when I had Casper and he had his paws around me and he's humping me, and I'm not anywhere near a board, I use treats to get him off of me.
Yeah, what you can do, just like I did, you put it on his nose, and then you pull it away.
Okay.
Because what that does is that he then has a choice to make. Do I stay up here, or do I get off? Once he's off, then I'm gonna ask him to do something else, even if it's a sit or a follow or something like that. And then the farther away that humping gets, the less likely it is that he's gonna repeat that behavior because it didn't get him anywhere. Yes, you use the food to say, yes, you can earn something, but not like this.
Okay.
You know,
okay.
a lot of times, I say that having a treat in your hand, waving it in front of the dog, putting it on his nose and pulling it away, that's not a tease. It's telling him, you can earn this, you can have it, but not by how you're acting right now, so give me something else. That's where the whole choice thing comes into play, and that's where all these great tools get to be used by the dog, because he's using brain cells. He's not listening for instructions, he's not waiting for instructions. He's making the decisions on his own because he knows what to do. Socialization is knowing what to do in every environment. Go pulse, back, down, back way. There you go. Good boy, that's it, good boy.
So when he wouldn't come to get clipped on the leash, then you lure with food?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And I do it over and over and over and over again. So he's on autopilot. When he sees leash and he's like, oh, leash, right?
Okay.
My dog wears a harness and it goes over her head. My sister can attest to this. This dog, when I hold the harness out, she walks into it.
Okay,
Because she knows, whee, we're going on a walk, right? So dive bombs into that harness. And that's just over and over again saying, going on a walk, on, off, treat, you know, all that kind of stuff. So that she knows it's the most wonderful thing in the world.
okay.
So you're okay with using harnesses plus the dog?
I like the front hook. Yes, back hook harnesses turn you into a boat anchor, so I'm not a fan of those. Front hook harnesses can influence movement. They can help you turn your dog. And they also don't come off like back hooks do.
Could you bring another dog into here now and do this with 2 dogs?
I don't know. I don't know this dog well enough to say. Is he reactive
He's
to the dog?
the one that screams when he sees
He's the one that screams. So what I'm gonna do is, I have a dog.
To get them to ignore each other?
I have a dog in this room right now. He's hidden. So what I'm gonna do is, here he is. I'm gonna take him, actually. Because I don't want to subject you to this. You're welcome. And I'm gonna take him and then I'm gonna have you set him up just right here and hold his leash just by your chair.
Is he on leash now?
He's on, he is, Benji's always on leash because he's such a bad dog. Every trainer should have a fake dog to deal with reactive dogs with. Now he's not dead calm, he's not usually in a spot where I'd say this is a good time to work him against another dog. So we're gonna see what happens. He has had some good work, so we'll see. All right. Come over here. Okay, go ahead. Isn't he adorable? So quiet, isn't he? He's in a 40-year stay. Really? We're cleaning again? Do you pet him? Benji's a good boy. Look how pretty you're so Benji. Look. Benji's so good. Benji's so good. 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 Yay, good. 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 Good boy. That is totally his energy level reacting to that and also my voice. But I wanted to tell him he did a really good job. Good boy. Good, good, good. Choosing to go away instead of towards. He's looking for help. He's looking for help. Good, good. Good boy. I know, good boy. That's it, good boy. Still taking treats. He's okay. Pat him again.
Good boy, Benji. Good job. Yeah, good boy. Good boy, Benji.
Good boy. I know it's hard. I know it's hard. Good boy. You see me kind of just countering him? You see how I'm just pulsing him? And I keep getting to the side so he can't get any forward motion?
And you don't use leave it or anything?
No,
like
because
that?
you're depending on words. I'm depending on choices. His choices. I know, good boy. I know, good boy. He's got something in him because he gets the pink eyes. You know that? Like bulldogs and things like that get pink eyes when they're stressed. The whites of his eyes are pinks. That's it. Who is that? Benji's good boy. Benji's good boy. Yeah. Benji's good boy. Good. So you see how it's getting less?
Yeah.
It's getting less. And it's up. Yeah. Okay. Good. Good. Breaking eye contact. Everything that he's doing, that's good. He wants to kind of leave, and that's fine too. Better that he wants to walk away than go towards. Okay, cover him up. Perfect, thank you. All right, so that is what can happen when you do the work you need to do. That's a good boy. Where'd he go? Where'd he go? Where is he? I know. He disappeared. He's a ghost dog. What happened to him? He's like, I don't know. Tell me where'd he go? Where'd he go? I want him now. There you go. Was that helpful to see that?
Yeah, that really helped.
Did it? Okay. But you see, same thing. I'm not going after him. I'm just absorbing that energy and waiting until he gives me something else. And the minute I get something else, he gets rewarded for it. Oh, good boy. He's a good boy. I know, good boy. That's a better face. Yeah. All right. So we get to say goodbye to this boy because he just performed magnificently.
Yes, he did.
Didn't he?
Spot. What?
Sit. So now, what's the treats? What's the treats to go with?
Could you maybe talk about how these touch to come? Because sometimes people tend to.
Yeah, that's a very good point.
I carry a pouch right now.
When you use your hands, you have to be careful how you're using your hands when you are communicating with your dog. It's important to know that there's a good way to pet them and a bad way to pet them. Most people don't know that, and they'll come in like, hi, hi, and that just jacks them up. If you want to help a dog remain calm, everything slows down, including your hand movements. So that means instead of this, you're going to do this. Or you're going to lay your hands as opposed to, they all hate this, by the way. We all know that, right? They all hate being patted on the head. Everyone knows that. But you can stroke, right? Always stroke. You saw me stroking him. You saw me cup him, right? Kind of pull him to me a little bit. That little security thing. So you want to always be aware. This is all about managing your body movements and communicating with him at the ultimate level with your body movements. So those quick little, I will give them a little butt tickle because they really like it. But that doesn't, I have never had a dog jack up because of a butt tickle. Never. but I have had them jack up when you're going, and all that excitement that we bring, that stays in them. A lot of these dogs do not know how to decompress once they're up there. So that's why everything that I do is meant to bring them down to a certain level and keep them there. In trainer parlance, it's called keeping them under threshold. But essentially what it is, they're nervous, but they're not whack. That's kind of where you want to live. Because if they're dead calm, you're not working them enough. So I said, you know, Casper was done not because he was, you know, out of coping juices, because he was doing too good. You know, we needed somebody else who wasn't doing so well. But the first dog, Kobe, the first dog was done. And could you see the physical difference between those two dogs? Face, body, everything. He was done. He had not one bit left of coping juice to use today. But Casper, I think as he gets older, he's just going to be majestic. Because he's got a good, stable, resilient nature to him that I think just has to be expanded upon. I think he's going to be just, if I didn't have a dog, he's going to go with me and adding to my stable 100%. But you have to be able to see that difference and work with the dog you have. If they're done and you see it, that's it. I don't care if you've been out for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 30 minutes. If they're done and you see it, they have to go. Because anything you try to do after that is going to be detrimental. It's going to make him fail on you. And you want as many successes as possible.
So when you say done, you mean they're getting hyper, not they're
He's
relaxed.
lost the ability to cope.
Yeah.
It's like if you've been at work all day and you've had a terrible day at work, and your boss yelled at you, and you flubbed everything up, and you go home, and your wife says, "Hey, honey, how was your day?" And you go, "Ah!" Right? You're out of coping juice. And it's going to take you a while for your tank to fill. Who is this?
So if you're out on the other side of the block, how do you get home?
You don't go out that far. That's not for your dog. You know, you can do laps close by, and you still get your distance. You don't have to go far out. You know, I always think is when I don't know my dog's old now, so I have to do laps myself because I don't know how far she can go at any given time. So it's I don't go, well, we're out 20 minutes now, so how are we going 20 minutes and 20 minutes back? Because I'm going to get stranded out there, and I'm going to have to carry my dog home, and I'm not fond of doing that because she weighs like 40 pounds. Yeah. How old is this dog?
Spot? About a year.
Wow, you do have some big feet. This is going to be a walk on water dog, can you tell? Are those webbed? Okay. This one looks really easy. Who wants to handle this one?
Paulina?
This one looks so easy.
He is a little bit.
He's just started
Just
with
started,
the
just
leash,
started to be a jerk.
with the leash tugging and
Oh,
the.
all right. So, bye. There we go. Did you say no?
Sorry.
So hard. It's so hard. Look for yeses. Look for yeses.
And how much of this would you contribute to just kennel stress from an ad?
I would put some of it to it, but I don't want it to be an excuse.
Right.
Because I feel any dog can develop these skills, but if I had just a blanket term to give to just about every problem that a dog has in a rescue situation, a kennel situation, it's lack of socialization. Some dogs are sensitive to sound, or they've come from bad circumstances that make them more stressed. But I think this is just, I don't know what to do in this environment and nobody's telling me. What's the matter? Don't you want to eat your leash?
He was the entire way here, and he doesn't want to do it.
He said, it's just Rachel.
Well,
And so we should.
everybody handles the dog differently, so everybody is going to have a different relationship with the dog, and that's just the way it is. So, you know, if you are the only one having a problem with the dog, it would be a really good idea for you to talk to some of the other handlers and compare notes, because there's probably something you're doing to set this dog off, and it could be as simple as you just talking too much to him at the wrong time. And so I said, did you say no? I still can't hear very well, so I thought I heard it.
You heard it.
I heard it. But, I mean, even if you're just going, no, get down there and be that jumping like a maniac and then you're trying to calm them down with all this business, you are not going to calm them down doing that. Absolutely not. And that's what so many people do. Can I pet them to calm them down, to keep them calm? No! Are you going to do that all day long, every day? Then stop it. Right? But that seems like a really common sense thing to do, and it is so not. It's like the opposite of what you should do. When they're in that state, and you hear me keep going back to the word attitude, because they've got to have the right attitude or you're going to get absolutely nowhere with this dog. You'll get a sit out of them, you'll get a this, you'll get a that for like 2 seconds, or you have, so am I. And then you're going to get bad behavior all over again. When you, here, have a whole one, kitty. I'll be over here breaking up more. They always think that I have it. I'm the treat lady. I'm the vending machine.
So to give them a little more, like, do you have to give them enough room to be able to have it loose? Yeah.
Yeah, you have to give them the ability to loosen the leash. There has to be some point where they can loosen it. When they're walking away from you, it's going to get tight, but the second they return to you or get closer to you, then there should be some looseness in it. There you go, right there, good. See that responsiveness? When you put it on and take it off, it becomes a signal. When it's tight, 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 tight all the time, it's just something to fight against. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. It's so hard. It's so hard to work with a tight leash. But you're not going to get a loose one, and that's why I came up with this. You're not going to get a loose leash. Not with these dogs, and not with most dogs that are out there. So you got to have something else to go to, and for me, the pulse is it. Good. See that? See how quick?
If you're walking a dog, for example, up the street that's really hyperactive and they zigzag in front of you all the time when you're walking, what's the best way to sort of get them to walk with you?
Well, keep in mind that my definition of walking is simply that they're in my general space. I don't want them to cross in front of me because it's dangerous, but they can certainly cross behind me. I have no problem with that. But the way to do that is just to start marking and rewarding. So in other words, you've got this, and you say, follow me this way. Good. Okay? And you just keep doing that. Eventually, they're going to orient to that position because that's where the treats come out and that's where the rewards come out. If they're just going zigzag, zigzag, you may want to stop and turn.
Wanting to snip everything on either side.
Yeah, you may want to stop and pulse them into a turn so that when they turn around, they're in the right position. You go, what a great dog you are. And then they go off and do it again, and then you do it again. So you might not go very far, but you're going to get a quality walk. See, I can't do more than one thing at a time because I have no idea that she needs treats. Zing! I heard no again. I heard that. I must be getting better. I heard that. I'll tell you a story. I used to be a dog walker, pet sitter before I became a trainer, and it took me forever to learn when there was a jump to take my face away from the dog and move towards the dog one step. And I would have like the golden retrievers and stuff like that on the other side of the door, and I'd say, okay, head up, step forward, head up, step forward, before I went through the door. And I had to practice it over and over and over again because everybody wants to do this, which just encourages more jumping. And it took a long time, but now as you see I'm on autopilot with it, the dog jumps on me, they're not even there anymore. Until those feet are back on the floor, there is no dog. And that's the easiest and fastest way to get rid of a jump, but it's the hardest thing for most people to do because everybody wants to do this, no, off, down, and none of that works. Zero, none of it.
That's what we were trained to do.
I know. That's old school crap that should be got rid of. Did I insult anybody here?
Which is why we brought you in.
Yay!
Get rid of the old school crap.
Old school crap. There was one dog that we were working with early on that was, I stopped jumping, got her to stop jumping on me in like 5 seconds, and what did she do to poor Margaret?
Came right over, bam!
Boom! And that's it. Different handlers, different reactions, right? What we're trying to do by getting everybody to be more consistent with these dogs is to get them to start generalizing this behavior to all the time instead of just situationally. So that's why one of the reasons we want to do this, so that more people can walk these dogs. Hello, would you like one? Thank you, that was really quiet.
Jack, you wanna try?
Yeah. Are you good? You good?
So if you have the dog,
Sorry?
so if you had the dog and he starts jumping on you and you don't react, you just stand there, let him figure it out, and he starts mouthing you and biting you, even though you're not reacting to him, what do you do?
Yeah, and so ignoring it is not an option. So yeah, so make sure, I want to be clear. I'm not saying just ignore him and let him have his way, right? So you are dealing with it, but at a very low energy level. If you have treats, right on the nose and away, right on the nose and away, because they're gonna say, that is food, isn't it? And you're not edible, at least you don't taste good. So I'm gonna go this way, right? So then you've got him over here, then you can start walking him, and then you can start tossing away. If I've got a dog that's really fixated on me, I'm gonna do a lot of tossing away and walking with and all that so that he starts orienting away from me. Yeah. That, I have never had that happen, to be honest. Once they realize if I'm throwing down food and marking and rewarding for that, then he's gonna, I mean, if you watch, like I've got some Casper video, and one of the things we're gonna send in, it's in the Hyperdog video. He is like bashing me. I mean, he was bashing me for a good, I don't know, 15 minutes. It was nice. But I just, every time he did that, the second he came back down, I was back to asking him to do something else. And at the end of that time, he'd stopped. Then I challenged him by doing this in front of him. But by the time I was doing that, he was at a level that he really didn't react all that much. So I was able to do this and then immediately reward him. I did it one too many times and he popped on me, but then I was able to just slide him off by turning sideways and then get him right back into it again. And then I was able to jump in front of him again and he didn't do anything. So again, his level had dropped, his attitude had changed. When you achieve that, then you get a different dog. Are you behaving too good?
He really is.
You're so good. I thought you had hyper dogs.
He did.
Where are all the hyper dogs?
Rachel, you need to walk it.
You did it.
It's 3:30.
Okay. You are so cute.
That's good.
I can't stand it.
It's chopstick, buddy.
Okay, so we'll get him put away, and then I'm gonna just ask for any last questions, comments, anything that you have, something that we really didn't cover that you wanted to hear about in these last few minutes. Did everybody spot? Why were almost all our dogs white today? What does that mean? Are we racist here? You reminded me of Sabrina.
How long would you say in between sessions? Is there, like, so let's say Kobe, for instance. Like, if we wanted to, you know, like gear it up and keep working with them, how long do you think it would take for him to recharge?
Every dog is different. Some dogs can let it go really quickly, and some dogs are still like fixated. So it's really, I would say the thing to do would be a kennel check and body language read. If he can, say for example, if he's jumping at the kennel door, and you turn your body away, does he stop that and sit down? Does he give a different behavior, or does he just keep coming? If he just keeps coming, he's probably not ready yet. So I would do a kennel check on him. You're looking for some kind of responsiveness that he's making a good choice, and then you can go ahead on in again. But it's also, you know, like I said, it doesn't have to be long. A good 5 minutes is worth its weight in gold. So if you do 5 minutes and he hasn't, you know, tapped out, put him back in, you can bring him out again in pretty short order and do another 5 minutes and put him back in before he's tapped out. Now, I don't want to get him to the point where he's empty. I really don't. I want to have success. I want him to feel good, not go, oh my God, I can't take it anymore. I don't want that to be the last interaction I have with that dog.
So would you say you would not end every session on a good note,
Mm-hmm.
if you can?
Mm-hmm. Ideally, I would like to end every session on like the way Champ was. and the way Casper was, and even this one.
Yep.
You know, I want to see that. I call it the love phase. I don't know. I mean, that's my best description of it. I want to just see them going. You know, I want to see that phase. And you know, like they came in, like Champ came in, and I could cup him, and he was a little leany, and he was just like butter, you know. That's kind of what I'm looking for. If I've got one like Kobe, then he's going, then I've pushed him too far. I've waited too long, and that was a mistake on my part. You're gonna make mistakes. Don't worry about it. You know, just next time say, okay, pay more attention to him, make it a little shorter. You know, whatever you need to do. Because they're going to tell you, I would say, look to the dog. The dog is going to tell you how much you can do, when he's done, and how much you can do the next time. You know, where you can progress to. And that's a case-by-case basis. What I'm hoping is that this session gives you the ability to read them a little bit better and know when to react to them and in what way. Have I done that?
Yes.
Any other questions?
Christy? When you enter a dog's kennel and it's very hyper and it's immediately jumping all over you, trying to put the leash on, and even then it's trying to pull you or jump all over you,
Right.
do you start working right then?
Yeah.
Do you get out, or if it's dragging you down the hall,
Well,
I know you can turn
and
and
the
everything,
logistics of this place are difficult, and so we have to take what we can get. The Be Cool You video has a kennel sequence in it, so I would say you
Yeah,
put
I'll see
that
that.
link out. Go ahead and take a look at that kennel sequence. Because what you're trying to do is drop them down enough that you can get them out of there. I dropped this dog down enough that I got her leashed up, and she was an alligator mouth on leash, and so we bypassed all that. We were able to get her leashed up. When she came out of there, she came out of there like a shot. Now, there's only so much you can do about that because you are in an interior kennel, and they got a potty. But what I can tell you about that is this, and this becomes very situational. In my experience, saying, okay, guns blazing, let's go, for that particular sequence has no impact on everything else that you're doing with that dog. So in other words, you get into your kennel and she's got to go, and we have to get out, you know, how many doors to get out to the back so she can potty. The second we were out there and she pottied, I started working with her again.
Right.
So it's like, I always say it's like the gauntlet run. You know, it's like, okay, are we ready? Let's go! You know, we both go blazing out there. And because she knows where she's going. It's not like she's trying to get anywhere else. She's like, she wants to get there. So I'm like, okay, I'm not going to hold you back because it's ridiculous. I'm going with you. But as soon as you're done with that, then we can turn around and start working again. Does that make sense? But yeah, the Be Cool You video has a kennel sequence in it. Which is why I was going to jump past part of that.
Should you always go in the kennel to leash them up? I tend not to. I tend to brace the door with my knee and just.
I don't go in until they stop doing what they're doing.
I just hook them up through the door.
Oh, you can do that too. Absolutely, you can do that too. Yeah. This one was I was told that this was a kennel jumper, like a really bad kennel jumper. And she jumped exactly 1.5 times, I believe it was. And all I did was approach. I had the leash in my hand and I had treats in my hand. When she jumped, I turned. When she put her feet down, I turned back and I reached for the door. As long as she stayed down, I kept coming in. The second she dusted up, I stopped. I also threw some treats down on the ground for her so she could orient down.
So the dogs that we saw today, when we see them tomorrow, the next day, should we approach them by doing what you were just doing with them? And just that, or that plus trying to take them on a walk too? Or
I would do as much as you can,
Okay. I
and
mean, it's
then
okay
the
to
dog
walk
is
them,
going to
just-
tell you how much you can do. Because the Be Cool You sequence is not supposed to take more than 30 minutes, and it's 5 exercises, and the entire thing shouldn't take more than 30 minutes. You shouldn't spend very long on any of this because you're not going to be able to get a dead calm dog, and you don't want to create a frustration sequence. So if you spend like 5 minutes working on kennel, and then 5 minutes outside, or 10 minutes outside if you want to do a little walking, you know, it's all part of the same thing. So, you know, without getting too specific, you have to look at the dog and what they can give you in order to know how much you can do with them. Remember, they need exercise, but exercise comes from this thing too. brain work is exercise. 30 minutes of brain work is as tiring for a dog as 30 minutes of hard play. It's actually better for them than walking. Not saying don't walk them. Not saying that. But it's actually working the brain tires them out. Just like, again, if you've had a hard day at work, you had a hard test at school, and you come home, you're like, I didn't do anything except sit at the desk, but I'm exhausted, right? That's kind of what you're looking for with these dogs. Anything else? Yeah?
When you're out in the play yard and you have two dogs who are racing against each other on both sides of the fence, is that good for them or is that just frustrating for them?
Depends on the body language. Depends on their attitude, the dog's attitude towards one another. Because I've seen fence running as an OCD type displacement behavior. The dog has been like a backyard only dog and had nothing else in his life. That can be an OCD behavior that is actually quite damaging for them. I've seen dogs that just love to play with each other and go back and forth. And I've seen dogs say, I'm gonna get you, I'm gonna get you, I'm gonna get you. So you really have to kind of look at the body language and see what attitude they have towards the other dog. If they stop, are they standing there happy, or are they through the fence at each other? You know, I would say case by case basis. In general, I'm not thrilled with that behavior just on an overall basis. But there are some dogs that can handle it all right. It just depends on their personality.
So you should stop it if you think it's not right.
Yeah, I would see if I could break them off. I mean, I would be like, hey, bud, you want to come over here? I have a treat, man. You know? Or here's the ball, let's go this way for a while, you know, and see if they actually will break off. Every time they break off, I would reward them